You have questions? America's #1 business coach has answers. It's your Broda from Minnesota. Here's another edition of Ask Clay Anything on the Thrive Time Business Coach Radio Show.
Yes, and yes, Dr. Z, we have a hot question in here from the Thrive Nation. A hot question. Andrew, this is a hot question.
It's hot.
Andrew, you know how hot this question is?
Pretty darn hot.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Step into the business coach saunas.
That's right.
Lover. Okay, no, here's the question.
I wonder why it was hot in here.
The question from the Thriver was, how do you deal with a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day? And how often do you guys have these? So we're going to go around the horn. We have Paul Hood, a CPA with thousands of clients on the show. We've got Dr. Z here on the show. We've got myself. So let's go around the horn. Let's go around the horn and let's talk about it. So Z, how often do you have the things, the variables, the bad things happen to you that some would consider to be, you're a positive guy, so you don't let it get you down. But how often do things happen to you where it would be easy to say, wow, that was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day?
Short of resetting my watermark, as I call it, there was a period of my life that I had a series of very unfortunate things happen to me and my family and my business, and that was pretty much my high watermark of stress and bad day. So once you kind of reset that watermark pretty high, it was a pretty high one for me that time. Everything else you put it in perspective and go, well, compared to that day, it's not so bad.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
Oh, it could be worse, don't you know?
Could be worse.
In Minnesota, by the way, if you ask anyone how they're doing, you have about a 40% chance that they will respond with, "Oh, it could be worse."
Could be worse.
No matter what, no matter what's going on, that's about the peak of the optimism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could be worse. But what I do is this: a lot of times, depending upon what category it's in and how to process it, it can be pretty daunting. It can be pretty debilitating. And if you don't get on top of it with your brain pretty quickly, it can kind of really shut you down for a little while. But when you have a really, really bad day, one thing that I like to do is I like to think about all the positives in my life. I like to pray also and be thankful for all the positive things in my life. I'll just go through a checklist of all the home runs, all the games won, all those positive memories in your life.
You go back home and look at that
make some
big
apple
fat
pie.
head of you, the full-size photo of you, and go, well done.
That's the only head I know that's bigger than yours, by the way. It's a big head thing.
I don't think it's that big.
What?
I mean, my head, do I wear a size 14 hat size? Is that what it is? 14 and 3/4?
Wow. I thought it was 18 and a half.
18 and a half. Okay, nice.
Well, you were like, your hat's loose. You're right.
Right.
But I think what the key is that you have to understand that if you're in control of your joy, and this is a word for everybody listening out there, if you're in control of your joy, then nothing can take it away from you. Nothing can take away your happiness. If you're waiting for something to make you happy, you're doing the wrong thing. And if you let something make you unhappy, you're doing the wrong thing. So you need to be in control of your joy. You need to be in control. If it's a bad day, how are you going to fix it? Is there a problem that needs to be fixed? Or is it just a bad day? But if there's a problem that needs to be fixed, then I go into problem-solving mode. Step 1, what do I need to do? Step 2, what do I need to do? Step 3, what do I need to do? Oh, and by the way, I'm really thankful because I've got, 3 healthy children. I'm really thankful that I've got, all these things I'm thankful for.
I'd like to get Paul's take on this because, Paul, you manage a team of employees.
Yes, sir.
And your core team at your 3 offices, how many people approximately are we talking about? Between the 3 offices, that because you have other offices and locations, you're always expanding, but maybe between Bartlesville, Tulsa, Claremore, how many people are we talking about?
Well, we have a total of probably about 40 employees, but my key group is probably 12 or so.
So let's think about our 12. Let's think about your 12. So you think about your core 12. I'll think about my core 12 for a second. It seems as though there's always something going on in the lives of one of those 12 people,
right? Because
there's 12 people. There's so many people. There's always something. Now, Z, with the team of like 50, there's usually 2 or 3 bad things happening every day between those 50.
Unfortunately,
and with thousands of customers, there seems to be usually, if you have 1,000 customers that you provide service for a month, if you're awesome, you have like a 1 or 3% complaint rate. So think about that. Elephant in the room, Paul. We have 4,000 members, and Z, if we make a mistake with somebody's hair, even only 2% of the time, that's 80 bona fide complaints a month.
Sure.
So we had a guy shadow me from Minnesota, and I remember him saying this. He goes, "How many complaints do you get a day?"
Did he say it could have been worse?
Well, this is really funny. He goes, "How many do you get a day?" And I said, "Like 3." He goes, 3? I said, yeah. I mean, they only get to me if they're like next level. But he goes, just for that business? And I said, yeah. He's like, so you get like, how many complaints, a month? I said,
do the math.
Dozens. I mean, you know what I mean? And you start, but he goes, I don't think I could handle that. And it was very good for him to like know that he emotionally could. And I said, why not? He goes, it bothers me. Like if I get a bad review, it'll bother me for like a month.
Which is unfortunate.
So I want to ask you this, Paul, with your clients, you do your best to serve your clients. I know you want to do your best. Mm-hmm. But if, for whatever reason, like our haircut business, we make a mistake 2% of the time, or if there's a misunderstanding or whatever, how do you process that when a customer is frustrated? How do you emotionally and mentally process it when your business, occasionally misses the mark like my business does, and I think any business does?
Well, Clay, just like anything, you have to separate real issues with fake issues. You have a family member die. That's something that there's not a lot of positive that comes out of that. But most business issues or complaints or bad things, really what I try to do is embrace that and accept that and appreciate that as a learning experience. Because, if you've got an issue, it's kind of like, let's say you're driving down the road and you have your family in the car, and the car starts sputtering and everything, and you can get really upset. But the reality is maybe that sputtering helps save you from having a wreck. And so the way I look at things is I try to find the positive in it, and I try not to get real upset and just try to say, well, this is something that's strengthening of my team. It's a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity to fix something. I'm a registered investment advisor and a personal financial specialist, and I get audited every year by, a government entity or whatever. And I embrace that, because if I'm not doing something to the best of our abilities or missing something, I want to know. I don't think and so if I've got a client that complains, and honestly, and I don't say this to be mean, 2/3 of the complaints are really not valid. But it doesn't really matter, because marketing, to me, is top of mind. It's how that person feels when they walk out of my office and what they're going to say to other people. And so the old adage, the customer is always right, is kind of right. But I embrace it. I approach it head on. I personally make the phone call. And what can I do to solve this, to make you feel better, to make you happy? And it doesn't really matter whether it's a valid complaint or not. It's a complaint. And so, I was taught a long time ago, do I want to be right or do I want to be rich? So I'd rather be rich than argue with a client all the time. I just want to make them happy.
I have found for me, and I want to get your take on this. I've got a few notable quotables I want to read to you.
Okay.
From the first one will be from that controversial book known as the Bible. In the Bible, Matthew 5:10. I love that verse. Matthew 5:10 says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of their righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So, blessed are those who are persecuted for being right. All right. So here's an example. You have an employee that works for you, Z, and they're supposed to be on time, and they're not. So your job as the owner, manager, whatever, is to bring it up. You say, hey, Doug, I need you to be on time, and Doug goes, "Oh, come on,
come on, man."
Yeah. What? What? And there's this blow up,
Yes.
And you would some people attack you when you call them out for being right. When you hold them accountable.
Oh, I know.
So I think part of it is just embracing that if you're going to hold people accountable, AKA run a business, you just have to get really good with knowing that a lot of people won't be happy with you all the time, right? I mean, don't you have to get to a place where you just say, hopefully there's a reward in heaven, because I'm certainly, you know what I mean? Blessed are those who are persecuted because of their righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I mean, you have to just go, well, hopefully there's a reward up there, because, whoa.
Well, I like the reward could be in the bank statement, because all of a sudden you're cracking the whip and you're making your business run better.
Right.
But for everybody listening out there, if you're thinking about, we know 67% of you are, according to Forbes, that is our business Bible, by the way. I'm not taking anything away from the actual Bible, but that's the business Bible.
Business Bible, yeah.
What happens is that if you go into this owning a business with the idea that you only get to wear the white hat, you only get to be the good cop,
you're going to lose.
At times you got to put on the black hat. At times you got to be the bad cop. At times you got to call people out and you've got to correct them. And pruning and correction is good.
Yeah,
that's
Clay,
why
don't you agree though that it's kind of like raising kids? You can be a lazy parent and let them play in the street because you don't want to upset them and correct them. The same thing applies with employees. If you hold them accountable, that's actually good for them. It's good for your business. It's good for your other employees, but it's good for them. When you're not holding them accountable, you're accepting their slackery, and therefore it's bad for them, and they're never going to achieve and reach their potential.
I think about our office and just people on my team, but there's a guy on our team named Matt. And Matt always says, how can I get better? At least he does that to me. Yeah. He says, how can I get better? So I give him the same information as I might give somebody else, the same coaching, and he says, thank you.
Thank you.
How can I get better? But I think a lot of bosses feel like they're being a bad guy, quote unquote. I hate to be the bad guy, but just by telling somebody, hey, you need to follow the script. Right. Hey, you need to show up on time.
This is what I'm paying you to do.
And they feel bad about holding someone accountable because they're the bad guy. You're not the bad guy. You're the right guy. You're the righteous guy. Here's another thought. Robert Greene, the best-selling author of the book called Mastery, best-selling book called Mastery, he writes, the most effective attitude to adopt is one of supreme acceptance. The world is full of people with different characters and temperaments. Some people have really dark qualities that are especially pronounced. You cannot change such people at their core, but you must merely avoid becoming their victim. Do you agree with that, Z?
Absolutely. People change seldom. It's one of my core things. And if they're a bad apple, they're typically going to be a bad apple. And instead of sitting there worrying about trying to life coach them into being a good apple, just get them out of your space.
The quote that Z gave me years ago was so good. I love this quote. I'm going to high five you. This would set me free.
Okay, high five.
This is a good quote. High five. You said to me, Clay, unless you're a life coach, don't life coach him. And I was going, whoa. Because that's where I was at for a long time as a young man. I kept trying to fix everybody.
How many businesses have you coached over the years where the owner comes up to you and they've got a bad apple working for them? And they refuse to fire them because they just know they can. It's maybe poor management. It's poor people skills on their part. They know that they reflect the fault back on them.
I would say it's 2/3 of what prevents businesses from growing.
Yeah,
is the inability of the owner to hold people accountable. The complete refusal to hold people accountable. And as we get back into this root topic of how to deal with the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I've got a couple quick tips here for you, and I'm going to give them to you. One is there was a Joel Osteen quote from the book called The Best Life Now that set me free here.
Okay.
It says, live your best life now. He says, do your best and forget the rest, and just give God the stress. So for me as a Christian, I go,
there you go.
I did my best. Okay, God, if you want me to be like going through this whole Job phase of my life right now, if this is like some teaching part of the Bible where I'm getting punished or something, let that happen. If not, whatever. But I used to, once I just realized you do your best and forget the rest, that helped me a lot. Probably because it rhymed.
Well, that's a rapper coming out in you right there.
But seriously, it helped me just to know you do your best and forget the rest. And now I don't care at all. I don't care if somebody's not happy and I did my best. I just don't care.
I don't care.
But I used to care a lot.
Don't you think a lot of that, though, comes from your core values of what's important in life? We make good money.
Yeah.
But it's not about the money. I grew up, I've lived in trailer parks. Nobody on either side of my family graduated high school besides my mom and I. I can be happy living in a trailer park. Not that there's anything wrong with a trailer park. The point is, it's not the money, and I have confidence in myself to rebuild. If something falls apart, I'm going to do my best, and if other people can run along with me, great. But the reality is I'm going to be happy regardless.
So this is what I want you to do right now. This is what I want you to do. This is the action item for all the listeners out there. So here we go.
Okay.
If somebody out there, if you're having something bad happen to you today, tomorrow, in the next 10 minutes, whatever, if something bad happens, I want you to do this thing called the 5-minute rule. This is the rule I live by.
All right.
I try to do it. I'd say by 99% of the time I do it.
Okay.
Don't make any decisions ever when mad.
Okay, that's good.
Don't make a decision.
Good.
Just do not make a decision when mad.
Okay.
Then during those 5 minutes, think about the decision you're going to make. How will it affect you a year from now? Will it affect you?
Okay.
So as an example, when I went in the other day to a local fast food restaurant and they totally jacked up my order, you know why I didn't freak out, Z?
Because you did the 5-minute rule.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
5 years from now, it doesn't matter. I don't care. The other day I was in a parking lot at Atwoods, and a guy cut
You
me
spent
off.
a lot of time at Atwood.
Well, a guy cut me off in with a big monster truck wheel thing, and he gives me the stink eye. And I get out of my car, and he's like following me into the store with the stink eye. You know why I didn't say anything to him? Because it doesn't matter. It's the 5-minute rule.
Big monster truck.
I'm not gonna make a decision while I'm mad. I don't want to get beat up in the parking lot of Atwood so that I can right
go
the
give
wrongs.
me that shovel I was telling you about.
So next time you get upset, take 5 minutes. Think about that. If it's a bigger decision, if it's a big purchase, don't go buy things when you're angry. Just don't take big action when you're angry. I promise your life will be better if you have more of a long-term perspective to everything. And that is how you deal with a no good, terrible day. That's if you're out there today and you're having something bad in your life, don't make it worse by making immediate action while angry. Don't make it worse.
Yeah, when you find yourself in a hole.
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em. Leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
Stop the digging.
And now, without any further ado, we like to end each and every show with a boom. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.